First, I want to say to all of you, I am honored beyond words to be here standing on this rostrum in front of this hallowed building, in front of I don't know how many, I'm not going to guess, but I thank Almighty God, Allah, for every single one of you that decided to answer the call to demand justice or else. I watched the program in my hotel room, and I want to say how happy I am to be a part of such a great showing of unity of the Aboriginal people of our planet. I want our Native American family and Brother Night Wolf, my brother, I'm sorry that they cut you a little short, but I want you to know how favored you are as a Native American giant standing for his people. The native people who came in their native dress, this is not like going to a football game with the Redskins. They are not here as some mascot. They are here because they are the original owners of this part of the earth, and we honor them with the honor that they are justly due. Their suffering in their land is very great. So all of those who cry for justice, no cry is greater than those who have suffered the most. And those who have suffered the most are the indigenous people, not only of America, but of the Western Hemisphere. They're sacred people. Yes, sir. And they deserve justice. And we, in unity, will not only get justice for ourselves, but justice for all those who are deprived of that precious essential of life itself. On this beautiful mall, which was a slave center hundreds of years ago, right here, down this mall, there used to be slave pens. And in that movie, 12 Years a Slave, the black brother was brought here, down on my left side, your right side, in a little yellow house where he was severely beaten before he was sent off to be a slave unjustly for 12 years. I feel the cry of our ancestors, the pain of those on whose shoulders we stand. I feel that the ancestors are happy that a young generation has arisen. I saw the faces of the young in line trying to come in, and they made it, I guess, safe, but they made it difficult. But the young stood in their place until they could get in, because that's who we work for. We who are getting older, and I'm speaking now of myself and my generation, what good are we if we don't prepare young people to carry the torch of liberation to the next step? What good are we if we think we can last forever and not prepare others to walk in our footsteps? So to the young that are here, we honor you. We know who you are, and we will not forsake our duty to you. There are some elders that are not worthy to pass on the legacy of their cowardice to our young people. Our young people will not listen to those made in America, made by America, and want to bow down in America to that which has given them hell. These young people are looking for fearless leadership, but leadership that cannot be bought. Leadership that is willing to sacrifice its life to see a better future for our children. I thank Allah for all of you who want to sacrifice in some way to make a difference. There can be no freedom, no justice, no equity without the willingness of some to sacrifice for the rest. What good is life if we're not free? What good is it to be alive and every day that you live, you see your people suffering? What good is it to continue in life under tyranny? So there must come a time when we say enough is enough. It must change, and I am willing to do whatever it takes to bring about that change. I thank Allah for Brother Makandal from Haiti and Brother Vladimir from the Dominican Republic, two great brothers that Islam has brought together, but the machinations of white supremacy is trying to keep apart. Haiti and the Dominican Republic used to be called Hispaniola, and it's the first place that the wicked one, Columbus, set his feet. Tomorrow they say it's his birthday. I think it's tomorrow or the day after, Monday. But no indigenous people want to celebrate a man who came and dislodged them, a man who came seeking a new route to India and ended up in America. And when they saw the original people that they saw, well, they must be Indians, because we white folk don't make mistakes like that. But they're not just Indians, nor are we African Americans. We were here before a continent named Africa was named. We were certainly here before America's Vespucius, and this part of the world was named after him. So we don't diminish ourselves by naming ourselves after Johnny-come-latelys. We are the aboriginal people of our planet, and before there was a planet, we were here with God in the beginning. So many people wonder, why is Farrakhan so bold? It's because I'm free from fear. How could Farrakhan tell the FBI and the CIA and the IRS to go to hell when others tremble at their name? They don't have a name big enough to make a man who has been shown the arm of God to be afraid of a man who can never do to me nothing more than what God would have them to do. And if he permits it, I'm for it, even if it's my death. Our problem is there's too much fear among us. And fear is what takes a man and makes him a punk. Women are showing more strength. As Sister Ava said earlier, she's the natural protector of what her womb produces. And sisters, you should never love any man more than the love you have for what your womb produces if that man becomes a violator of your child. Knowing God, not talking God, but knowing God is what takes fear from your heart. A fearful people can't be free. A fearful people will bow down when it appears that the enemy is so strong and we are so weak. As I was preparing this morning to come, I was thinking about us who are preachers, who can quote the Psalms. The Lord is my strength and he is my salvation. Of whom then shall I fear? Of whom then shall I be made afraid? But then when the enemy comes and challenges his words, we find him weakening, running away, leaving the sheep to be eaten by the wolves. That's why Jesus said, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd will lay down his life for the sheep. Any man in leadership that is not willing to give his life for the flock that supports him and feeds him and clothes him is not worthy of being a leader. Many in leadership today are willing to take a little money. It grieves me to see how many of us will sell out the future of our people for a little money that allows us to get an upgrade in our automobile or an upgrade in our suit or shoes. And I ask myself the question, when will corruptible put on incorruptible? Because all corruption is an enemy of the progress of man. All corruption, all deviation from honesty and integrity. You say, well, Farrakhan, I mean, my God, what are you saying? I'm saying that if you love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and loved your brother as yourself, nobody could give you enough money to make you betray yourself as well as your brother or sister. When I first started rebuilding the Nation of Islam in Chicago, a man came to me and said, Farrakhan, everybody got a price. I wondered who he had met. That everybody that he knew had a price. I said, well, this man don't have a friend. Nowhere. Because a friend will never betray his friend. How many in this audience have been called by the government authorities and told to lie because they wanted a certain person, and if you lied, they would make it easier for you in your sentence? How many of us have sold out to get a lighter sentence and made your brother who was innocent a victim of the justice system that is unjust by telling lies? I'm talking to you like this. I have some notes that I put down, but I haven't opened it. Because this is not a day, 10, 10, 15. Hell no. If this is a day and we come out and go back to doing what we were doing before we got here, then this is all vanity. This is vanity. But vanity is the work of someone who's wrapped up in himself. We have no time for vain expression. Those whom the world honors are those who live for others, and in their death they are never dead. There's always someone coming up to refer to their greatness because they lived for others and their living was not in vain. Well, why am I saying that at this point? We're facing another election. The Republicans have, I don't know how many, Is it 17? Well, it was. And they are really like the pretty girl who is well formed, showing her wares so that some man with money will buy her. Who wants to be a whore? No, listen to me. Do you think people with money put their money behind you if they don't expect something from you? That's what makes this a farce. $3.3 billion in the last few years has been paid by lobbyists to this House. Well, what are they lobbying for? Laws that may not be in the best interests of the people? How then can you look in the mirror at yourself when you are bought and paid for whore? And then what do you get for being a whore? John Fitzgerald Kennedy lies across the water in a beautiful grave with an eternal flame. And John Fitzgerald Kennedy had a beautiful home. He had boats. He had so much material wealth. But the end is the same. A spot in a little coffin and 6 feet of dirt. So the Bible says it right. Naked came I in the world, and naked go I out. So what are you lying and cheating and stealing for? To give something to your children who, if you lied and cheated and stole to get what you got, you couldn't teach them value. So all that you left is squandered by ignorant children. Don't you think it would be better to be like Dr. King? No, I'm very serious now. He didn't have a lot of money. He could have if he were a sellout. Go ahead. Go ahead. Malcolm didn't have a lot of money. Go ahead. He could have. Great ones don't amass wealth to leave to children. Great ones amass wealth to leave to institutions that live after they're dead and gone. The grave is waiting for every one of us that are gathered here today. Well, why are you saying this, Farrakhan? Because this is not a moment, as my sister said. This is a movement. I'm going to say it again. This is not a moment. This is a movement. When the brothers and sisters arose in Ferguson, you didn't have any money. You had a principle that you were willing to suffer for, that you felt was bigger than yourself and your life, and the withstanding of pain. But all of a sudden, the enemy comes with money. If we give you this, will you come out of the street? And some of us, we're all poor, but some of us see that as an opportunity. So the movement begins to die the moment those who lead the movement take money as a bribe to stop hurting a force that you're coming against. The demand for justice demands integrity. The demand for justice demands selflessness. The demand for justice is bigger than all our lives. So the demand for justice must give us the will to wish to sacrifice our life, because the many are greater than the one. And so we're here today. I have some hard truths to say, and I want you to bear with me, because I want to show you why there's no government on this earth, not one, that can give the people what the people desire of freedom, of justice, and equity. Look around you, brothers and sisters. Look at the trees. Look at the flowers. Look at the bushes. All of it starts with a seed. A simple seed. Seeds come in colors, different colors and shapes and sizes. But a seed hides what God has put within it, until and unless the seed is placed in the proper environment. So all these lovely living things that are around us, all of them start from a seed, and that seed is planted in the earth. It is nurtured by water and that magnificent sun. And then the seed swells and bursts, sending a root down. And then a shoot comes up. And then what was within manifests itself. And it is then a glory of God, its creator. You all started, we all started from a sperm, a seed. God is not wasteful. 100 million sperms may be released at one time. Some even say 1 billion, but only one can fertilize that egg. Well, God, if you're not wasteful, what happens to the other sperm? What do we do with it? That sperm becomes food for the new life. We have a farm, and every time we're sowing seeds to raise a crop of beans or corn or whatever vegetation we desire, the birds sense seeds are being sown. So you see the birds collect over the land. If the seed doesn't go deep enough, the bird flies down and the seed becomes food. God wastes nothing. But you are a seed. I am a seed. we have not yet been placed in the proper spiritual or physical environment that would cause the seed to swell and burst and let what is within come out, that we could say, I am a part of the glory of God. So Elijah Muhammad wanted the Muslim program to be brought before this house. Go ahead. I don't know anybody in the house that I could trust to bring his program. So I came to bring it myself as his student. Now I want you to think about what I'm about to say. This program has been appearing on the back page of Muhammad Speaks and the Final Call since 1961. The Muslim program. You say, well, I don't want to hear that. I ain't no Muslim. Okay. What are you? What are you? If I ask you to tell me your nationality, you'll point to some little spot on the earth that you think defines who you are. It's limited. I'm from Georgia. Good for you. I'm from Mississippi. I'm from Alabama, but I'm from New York. Right. But that does not define who you are. I'm from Jamaica, man. I'm from the Caribbean. Or I'm from Africa. I'm from Ghana, Guinea, Mali. That don't define you. You are defined by the nature in which you are created. And if your nature is the same as the nature of God, no land mass can define you. So the Quran says, set your face for religion, being upright, the nature made by Allah, in which He has created man, and there is no altering Allah's creation. A dog is a dog. Not because you call him a Spitz or a Terrier or a Great Dane. Those are names of different species of dogs. But the dog is defined by the nature of its creation. I don't care whether it's a Spitz or Terrier or what do you call it, a shepherd or pit bull. If it's a male, whenever it sees a hydrant, it will lift its leg. Did nobody teach it how to do that? That's what dogs do. If you understand your nature, then you will understand the unlimited possibilities of the human being. God created no human being without depositing in that human being a gift that can be expressed to an excellent degree. That's the nature of God. That's not an excellent tree. It's excellent. It's not an unexcellent bird. It's a bird. It's a worm. It's a flea. It's an ant. It's the sun. It's the moon. It's the stars. This is all an excellent creation from an excellent creator. And you are an excellent creation from an excellent creator, but you have to know yourself and your relationship to God in order to extract what is within and bring it out to the glory of God. Now, a lot of black people that work in this house, listen carefully to what I'm about to say. A lot of black people who have mastered their particular sport or their particular discipline, and they feel excellent. You know, they walk with a certain heaviness and a certain pride, and when they come in the room, some of them just suck up the atmosphere. Oh, look, there's so-and-so, there's so-and-so. As though so-and-so is greater than you, so-and-so. They're only great in your eyes because you have not focused your eyes on the greatness of yourself. So, look, brothers and sisters, the greatness of God is part of the thing that makes us so dissatisfied with government. You're yearning for something that the government can't give you. You are born to be free. The Muslim program says we want freedom. We want a full and complete freedom. That's not just what Muslims want. That's what every human being wants. But how will you define a full freedom and a complete freedom? If I'm a seed and I'm 50 years old and I'm still a seed, have never been planted in the right environment to develop myself, then I don't have freedom. But when I'm free and fully developed, then I have attained a full and complete freedom. Yes, sir. Can this house give you that? Come on. Well, you don't have it. So what are we petitioning this for? They can't give you what's not in their nature to give you. We just making a demand because it's right to do it, but we know they can't do it. Oh, wait a minute, Farrakhan, why can't they? Let me show you why. The other day, for the first time, I said, let me go out and visit all the monuments that are on this mall where we as a people will be standing. And I quietly, as quiet as I could, slipped into the Jefferson Memorial. And I stood there looking at a 19-foot statue of a great American. Now, this mall is hallowed ground for us, but it's also sacred ground for those who love America. And Thomas Jefferson was one of the most brilliant of the founding fathers of this country. If you read his words, I'm going to read a few, just to let you see that he was not a Christian, He never said he was, but he certainly was what they call a deist. He believed in one God. Now look at this. He said, on the wall, he was talking about justice. And he was talking about slavery. I want to give you a little study assignment. There were some things when he wrote the Declaration of Independence that they took out because he was dealing with King George as a vile man because he trafficked in black bodies, bringing them to America. I want you to go read his words, because Thomas Jefferson knew that if the slaves were not set free, one day what King George did by bringing us into slavery would cause the slave to rise and fight against those who were holding us in slavery. We have really come to that point now. Did you hear me? See, this thing has reached the point of explosion. Black people that are here, even those in high places, are saying, we can't take this much longer. There's like a volcanic eruption that's coming now. You know, they say volcanoes are birthed out of magma, that is molten rock with gases, and this molten rock and the gases at the bottom, then you have an upper crust that begins to come down and meet the molten rock beneath. I said, isn't that an interesting picture? Because I hear you that are in the middle class crying out. Ain't too many middle class people here, but even if you were, you crying. Because the middle class is becoming the new poor. So that's the upper crust coming down to meet the magma below. It's bubbling now. And gases are coming up. And you see dust coming up from the sleeping volcano that has been asleep so long you play around it like it don't have power to kill you. Yes. You play with the lives of poor people, indigenous people, black people, women. You play with the lives of soldiers who have given their lives on a foreign battlefield only to come home and be rejected and die while they're waiting for treatment and service. Why are you saying this in front of the Capitol, Brother Farrakhan? I want to show the world hypocritical America that is telling everybody that they're violating human rights, while in America there's all this dissatisfaction. I think, Mr. President, we ought to be quiet, telling China You got to straighten out your human rights violations. Going down to Cuba, yeah, well, we're going to have relations with you, but your human rights violations. See, as though you don't have no problem in America. We're trying to show the world these are problems here. And these problems demand resolution. And America don't have the heart to do it. Thomas Jefferson gave some brilliant remarks about freedom and trembling for America when he reflected that God is just and that his justice would not sleep forever. And then Thomas Jefferson with others fashioned the seal of this nation. And at first, the seal reflected the wrath of God in a light from above. And Pharaoh's army below. That the wrath of God, he was saying in the seal, would come down on America if America would not free the slave. He knew it should be done. So Thomas Jefferson said, we need to let the slave go. We need to give them a good send-off. We need to give them land. We need to give them machinery. We need to give them seeds to plant crops. We need to teach them the science of warfare, that they would be able to defend the land that they would be given. This is Thomas Jefferson. But he couldn't force it. There are good white people who want to see you free, but the politics of the situation will not allow it to happen. I don't care nothing about what the politicians are saying. Yeah, we think you all should, have some freedom. And like the Pope who came so beautifully a few weeks ago, and I listened to him. I took a few days rest from the tour because I became sick with pneumonia. And I went away for 10 days, and during that 10 days, His Holiness was here, and I watched him every day until his plane left. And I thought about this human being who has captured the world. And then I thought about him in Ecuador, in Bolivia. I think it was Bolivia. 3 countries in South America. And the Pope asked them to forgive the church. Did you hear that, brothers and sisters? Now, he didn't say forgive Jesus. Because the church that was killing the indigenous people really wasn't connected to Jesus. They were connected to a cross that was given to Constantine in a vision. And in Latin, under that cross, it said, in hoc signo vinces, with this sign we conquer. So the cross and Christianity at that time was not the real teaching of Jesus Christ. It was a philosophy, an ideology based on white supremacy. Will you forgive us? And the Pope asked, I didn't hear the answer that the people of Ecuador and Paraguay and I think it was Bolivia, we don't have the answer. But in Charleston, after 9 of our brothers and sisters were killed, before the dead were even buried, before the culprit even asked to be forgiven, we, with our loving misunderstanding of Jesus Christ, said what? What did we say? We forgive you. You don't even allow yourself to grieve naturally. You say, well, Jesus, don't put your cowardice on Jesus. Sure, he said, love your enemies. He wasn't talking about loving Satan. Oh, wait now, come on. Show me in scriptures where Jesus said we all ought to love Satan, the devil. See, the devil was wicked from the beginning. He wasn't somebody that committed a sin and did a wrong that you might forgive. But look at you, black people. You so evil. You won't forgive your mother. Some of you don't even talk to your father. Some of you don't talk to nobody that does you wrong, but you'll come with the children of the enemy on your arm. Find me a Jew that forgives Hitler, and you say they're the people of God, and they don't have no forgiveness in them. You really need to get acquainted with Jesus. The Pope is not a foolish man, but he made a saint out of somebody that the native people don't see any sainthood in. That's like us taking the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan and beatifying him and making him a saint. But what about all the people that you killed? What about all the evil that you have done? Should we forgive? Well, the Holy Quran says it like this: you may forgive, but I, God talking, will never forgive. See, now the God that I'm about to talk to you about now is on scene today. Thomas Jefferson couldn't deliver. I went to the Lincoln statue. And while I was in there, they had Dr. King speaking. I said, what is Dr. King doing speaking in the Lincoln Memorial? So I listened. And then I reflected on Abraham Lincoln's words. It's written there for the people to see. He said, and I hope I'm quoting it right, he said, if I could preserve the Union and keep all in slavery, I would do it. Did you hear me? And he said, if I could preserve the Union by letting half the slaves go free and keeping the others enslaved, I would do that. His aim was the preservation of the Union, not freeing you. And that's why you're still singing, we shall overcome. You've been tricked. You've been had. You've been took. You've been bamboozled. In the words of Brother Malcolm, we have been deceived. Abraham Lincoln, though, in his Lincoln-Douglas debates, he said, you suffer, talking about black people, from being in America with us, and we suffer from your presence. Have you heard that before? Yes, sir. Well, go look it up. That's one thing you won't say about Farrakhan. You say he's a hate teacher, he's this, but you won't call me a liar. Look at this. He said, as long as the two of us live together, there will always be a superior and an inferior. And I, as much as any white man, want the superior position assigned to the white race. That's your aim. Now let me tell you something about Jesus and the white man's religion. See, if you really had the religion of Jesus, we wouldn't even be here talking today. You be free right now if you really had the religion of Jesus. But you and I were baptized into that which made us think Jesus was Caucasian. Well, there's a few things I want to say before I close. Look. They don't want me to stop. They're hungry. And that's why Jesus said, I'm saying this to pastors. That's why Jesus said to those of us who are shepherds, lovest thou me, Peter? Feed my sheep. He wasn't telling you to feed them some government cheese. He's telling you to feed them the real gospel of Jesus Christ. That's why they don't want me to stop, because they're being fed. Now look, I don't want to miss my point. We were prophesied to be in America 400 years. Let's deal with that. Go home, get your Bible. Open to the book of Genesis, the 15th chapter, the 14th, 15th, and 16th verses. It reads like this: Know of a surety, Abraham, your seed is going to be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. And they shall serve them, and they shall be afflicted 400 years. Who you think that's talking about? It's you. You're the only people that have been under a strange man in a strange land for 400 years. Look at what the scripture says. But after that time, God talking, I will come and I will judge that nation that they shall serve. We are now living in the day of judgment. And I'm sorry, I don't like to hurt your feelings, white or black, brown or red or yellow. But America now has entered the time of divine judgment. I want you to listen to me, because when I finish today, you're going to see and hear things that you've never seen or heard before. And I'm going to tell you what's coming by the guidance of God and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I'm going to judge that nation. Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, America is in the crosshairs, these are not his words, they're mine, of the judgment of God. He's after America. Oh, Farrakhan, well, if you don't love America, leave it. You can't tell me to leave. I can tell you to go. Well, let me just be more clear. We paid a price to own this with our indigenous brothers and sisters. We paid a price. I know you're an immigrant, bless your heart. When you got here, the streets were paved with gold for you. From the sweat and blood of slaves that worked for 310 years for no pay.
Go ahead, say that.
And another 150 years as a free slave, never getting what we are worth. America is under divine judgment. Now look at this scripture in the book of Revelations. The nations are angry. Look around the world. All the nations are upset. All of them. Then the scripture says, and thy wrath is come. Nobody cares that the nations are angry. You got to worry about the wrath of God that has come. You want to know about what is oils? See, you all, with your tender hearts, you never understood what justice is. Justice for Pharaoh is not the same as justice for the children of Israel. Justice for the oppressed is not the same as justice for the oppressor. Mercy is for the oppressed. So Jesus said, God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, the same shall he also reap. Oh my God. That's a horror story for somebody. Say, behold, before the great and dreadful day of the Lord, I'm going to send you Elijah the prophet. See? What is he going to do? He's going to turn the hearts of the children, you, back to your father, and your father's heart back to you, lest the earth will be smitten with a curse. This is a sad day. It's a great day, but it's a dreadful day. It's great for the righteous. It's dreadful for the wicked. Thomas Jefferson knew it was coming, tried to beat it. Abraham Lincoln knew it was coming, tried to beat it. I went by Dr. King's monument. I've learned to love my brother, because if you would go and study the speeches that Dr. King made in the last 2 years of his life, you will know that Dr. King was not a dreamer. Dr. King had awakened from that dream and said, I quote, that my dream have turned to a nightmare. Yes, sir. These are the words of Dr. King. And the night before he was assassinated, I want you to see what Dr. King was saying a few days before. Go ahead. Oh, my brother, Dr. King. He started talking about I want to quote him right, because this is too important. My son said, well, Dr. King said, I want to get the language right tonight. Well, that man. And when you read how Dr. King evolved, we will evolve with him. He was not a dreamer. He was a great revolutionary thinker, like his brother, Brother Malcolm. America has no future for you or for me. She can't make a future for herself, much less a future for us. The scripture says, come out of her, my people. And we're going to have to come out. But don't worry. God says he takes the kingdom from whom he pleases, and he gives it to whom he pleases. America, you have a chance to stop the judgment or delay it. Did you hear what I just said? This judgment can be delayed, but it's a very narrow window of opportunity. I close with this before instruction. Brothers and sisters, they came to Jesus and they asked him, when is the end coming? He said, look at this. You can look in the sky and see by the redness of the sky, you can discern that it's going to be a good day. But you cannot read the signs. He said, this wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, but no sign shall be given to you except the sign of Jonah. As Jonah was in the belly of the great fish 3 days and 3 nights, so shall the Son of Man be in the heart of the earth. Now this, scriptural scientists, I want you to study. Who is the Son of Man? He's a man from a man. Don't you be looking for no spook. The believers in spooks don't understand the law of cause and effect. And that's why your seeds that have not shown forth the glory of God, sow your food for the bloodsuckers of the poor. 85% of the people in every nation are in poverty. And 10% of the people have knowledge, but they will not share it with the poor. So they live off the poor. In America, 85% of white people don't understand the law of cause and effect. But there are 10% among them that do understand. And they work for the rich. And they work against the poor. And the poor are poison animal eaters. They eat hog flesh, sounding their mental powers and robbing them of their beauty appearance. They don't know the law of cause and effect. They believe that all that you see is happening from a mystery God. But there's 10% that know, and they're sucking the blood of the poor. In the black community, we got 85% that are in bad shape. But you got 10% who robbed the 85%. Bad lawyers that take our money but won't fight for us. Everything is a plea bargain. Bad lawyers that want a third of the money from those killed but won't fight for justice. bad doctors, bad pharmacies, bad people that hustle their brothers and sisters. So when I asked for 10,000 fearless men, God stopped me short. I said 10,000 fearless men. When we put it up on our Facebook page, white folks said, oh, he wants 10,000 to start killing white people. Do I sound crazy to you? I said the next day, I said, wow, why would they say that unless they think they deserve the justice of God? And then the next day, they cut my words and said, Farrakhan said they deserve to die. I didn't say that. I said, that's what you must be thinking when I say 10,000 fearless and all you can see is a bunch of black people out there killing white people. I didn't say that. A few days later, I said, we got to go into our community because our war is on two fronts. We got to stop the killing in the inner city and stop the killing of us from police wickedness. I need 10,000 fearless. I want 10,000 men that we can train, because we got to stand between the guns. But you know what? When we go in our community to clean it up, guess who we're going to run into? We're going to run into rogue cops and wicked black people working together to suck the blood of the poor. Which means we got to be strong enough to stop the killing, but the moment we try to stop it, those who benefit from it will come against us. So we have to sit with the police and say, we're going to expose all your rogue policemen. Because you know where they are? They're in the black community. You know why they're there? Darren Wilson said, I don't want to do police work in the white community. I want to do police work in the black community because that's where the fun is. That's Darren Wilson. What's fun about your work in the black community, rogue police? See, you profit from the drug that's going on. You profit from the prostitution. You profit from the drug trade. You do. You kill us and blame it on another gang. That's the fun. But your days of having fun on our suffering is about to come to an end. I need 10,000 fearless black men. We got to clean up our community. And there's no way we can make a good people and leave them under the educational system of white supremacy. We have to take over the educational system. Because the education that you're receiving has not made you a good people or a better people. It made you a more willing tool or slave for your oppressor. That system has to go in order for black people to be set free. All educators, I'm calling on you. We got to take over. We got brilliant educators. We don't need to accept this poison doctrine of white supremacy any longer. We need a ministry of defense. We need a ministry of justice. Because we got to resolve our own conflicts without going downtown spilling our affairs in the presence of those who make merchandise of us and laugh at us and make mockery of us. We got lawyers, we got judges. We can solve our own problem in the inner city with justice. And the last thing I want to say, there's other ministries, but the last thing I want to say is preachers, you're the most important. I was with Dr. Martin Luther King III, and he said, Farrakhan, what can we do to turn this around? I said, Brother Martin, we have to take your father's philosophy of nonviolence and redirect it to black people. See, you've been working all this time to use your love to clear up the hate that's in the hearts of white people. 50 years after, it's still the same. Turn your attention to yourself. Come home and teach love for one another. Teach love of the neighbor. Teach us to forgive each other for our acts of evil done under the oppressor's mind that he put in us. I would like to have 10,000 fearless women. You know, I wish I could show you the women in the nation. These are warriors. These are scholars. But they know how to cook. They know how to sew. They know how to rear their children. And they know how to, Look at them, brothers and sisters. Now, brothers and sisters, if a sister came up and stood beside them with a mini skirt and a low-cut dress that's beckoning nursing babies, which one of these sisters would somebody say, hey, baby? See, they don't talk like that to our women. And if they do, it's a terrible mistake. Now, when women are clothed, they earn respect. The beauty of your form is for your husband. And if you don't have a husband, keep it covered. Because the one that you get as a husband will be the dog that saw what he wanted, and it wasn't you. It was the beauty of your form. Them beautiful hips, those succulent lips. Lord have mercy. Now, my sisters, all of them, they're very highly intelligent. You can't come to them with weak conversation because they see right through you, brother. They know how to cook. They're food scientists. And let me tell you, sisters, you know you're beautiful, but a woman who's beautiful and can't cook is a killer in the kitchen. And I don't think you would be wise marrying a killer and she kill you in the kitchen with a whole bunch of greasy food. These sisters know how to keep their self alive, their families alive, their children alive. Thank you, sisters. Oh, that was really nice. Where's the young men? Bring me the young soldiers. I hope you're not slow. Quick moving, fast thinking, cleanliness in and out, right down to the modern times. Well, they're all on post? Oh, okay. But we got some fine young men that we are training. I'm 82. I don't know how long I got, but I'm not worried because I got a torch lit with the wisdom of God that I'm giving to every young person who will listen. Because when I leave, I want to leave somebody that will give the enemy hell until justice flows down like a river and righteousness like a mighty stream. Now I'm going to close with Christmas. Now, did you know that we spend almost half of the money that we take in a year during Christmas? We have $1.1 to $1.3 trillion, and 400 billion of it is spent during the Christmas holidays. And listen. Dr. King wanted us to redistribute the pain. Now suppose we decided, okay, this Christmas, we kicking Santa to the curb. This Christmas, you're not gonna lie to your children, telling them that this Caucasian from the North Pole brought them this gift. You're gonna tell them the truth. I brought you the gift, baby. Me and your daddy, we hustle, but not this Christmas. This Christmas, we're gonna sit around the table and we're gonna bring Christ back to a day that was supposed to honor him. So you put the bottle down, put the loud down, put the beer down, and get around your table with clean food and teach about Jesus, and then show love, forgiveness, and reconcile your differences within the family. And this will be the best Christmas that we've had in a long time. And if you can put $400 billion and keep it in your pocket, then you've got a little money to invest. And what we want to do is buy up as much land. And we're asking the government for 100 million acres as a start. That's about the size of California. We can provide a healthy meal with milk on the table, whole wheat bread, if we pool our resources. Now, if you want to lengthen the days of your life, you got to eat better, and you won't eat better if you allow your enemy to feed you. We're going to have to feed ourselves by buying as much land as we can. So tonight, as I leave you, tomorrow morning, I'd like to see the scholars at the JW Marriott. We got to talk about what we're going to do after today. I would like engineers of every kind, navigators, pilots, farmers. I want college presidents, especially the black colleges. You gotta know that you are not a plantation to produce more dumb Negroes with degrees. You've got to make the colleges teach the things that will make young people builders instead of beggars. Meet me tomorrow at the JW Marriott, 11 o'clock, and we want to talk about what's next. Until then, oh God, you have made me so happy today just to look into your beautiful faces. I want you, when you leave here, go home to your wives and your families, and before you leave, I want you to greet the people around you. Hug them and tell them, I love you. Embrace your native indigenous people and tell them, we love you. And our Mexican family, embrace them and tell them you love them. And from this day forward, this day of a demand for justice will never end until justice is ours. So the day is the beginning of that movement that will never end. All local organizing committees, you gotta stay focused and keep working. It's not over, it's just begun. Thank you for listening. Assalamu alaikum.
Together for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, justice or else. Justice or else.